With Doubtnut, get instant video solutions to all your maths, physics, chemistry, and biology doubts. Just click the image of the question, crop the question, and get instant video solution. Download Doubtnut app today.
The question is, which of the following cannot function as a buffer solution under any condition? Now, what are buffer solutions? Buffer solutions are those that resist the change in pH, right? They are the solutions that resist the change in pH when small amount of an acid or a base is added to it, right? That is what buffer solutions are. Now, buffer solutions can be acidic, right? It can form an acidic buffer or it can form a basic buffer, right? An acidic buffer is formed by a combination of a weak acid and its conjugate base, right? Which is a salt, right? Whereas if we talk about basic buffer, this should be the combination of a weak base along with its conjugate acid, right? The salt of its conjugate acid. That is what an acidic and a basic buffer is. Okay, so which means that you should have this salt should be a combination of weak acid and strong base, and the salt in basic buffer should be a combination of weak base and a strong acid. Okay. Now, if we talk about the first one, we have NaOH and NaCl. Now, NaOH is a strong base, whereas NaCl is a combination of a strong acid and a strong base, right? It is a salt, which is a combination of a strong acid and a strong base, right? Because it is formed by NaOH and HCl, right? Now, this cannot act as a buffer, right? Because what we need is, we need a weak base and the salt, salt of its conjugate acid, right? Which should be a combination of a weak base and a strong acid, right? So this cannot act as a buffer, okay? In any condition, this cannot act as a buffer. The next is NaOH and NH4OH. Now, NH4OH is a weak base, right? This is a weak base. Whereas if we talk about NaOH, then NaOH is a strong base. So these are the two bases that we have. Right, here we have two bases, whereas if we have a weak base which is NH4OH, then it should have combined with something like NH4Cl, right? NH4Cl is the conjugate acid, the salt of its conjugate acid, which is also a combination of a weak base and a strong acid, right? So they could have formed buffer, but right now you have a combination of NH4OH and NaOH. They cannot result in the formation of a buffer solution, right? Next is CH3COONA and HCl. Now here we have a strong acid. And whereas if we talk about CH3COONA, this is a combination of a weak acid, which is acetic acid, plus strong base, which is NaOH, right? But here we have a strong acid, so it cannot form a buffer, right? If we would have had CH3COOH here, then it could have formed an acidic buffer. But right now, the given combination is not going to form a buffer, okay? And if we talk about the last one, which is borax and boric acid, then boric acid is actually a weak acid, right? Boric acid is H3BO3, which is a weak acid. And if we talk about borax, now this is Na2B4O5 OH4.8H2O. So this is a salt which is formed by a weak acid, which is boric acid, and a strong base, okay? So therefore, they can result in the formation of an acidic buffer, right? They can form an acidic buffer. So out of all of these options, only option 4 can form an acidic buffer, whereas option 1, 2 and 3 cannot function as an acidic buffer. So option 1, 2 and 3 cannot function as a buffer, and they are the correct answers for the questions.
For class 6 to 12, IIT JEE and NEET level. Trusted by more than 5 crore students. Download Doubtnut app today.